Kermit the Frog here with your Sesame Street special report. Not really. This is Indecisive School of DPS for the Rising Waterfall two-handed spec for warriors. This screen just shows my spec stats, all that business, my gear. Just shown as a start point. You can tell I'm pretty high stacked on crit versus attack power for a reason, so that I can get my abilities off, because if I don't, I'm screwed for energy, and then my ability, how hard they hit, don't matter at all. You can tell that I'm using the crystal for the Rift Blade. It gives me 5% more fire damage because that's the best thing warriors get, which sucks. I have one piece of HK gear so far, the belt, which I purchased with marks from the vendor. Here is my source machine, high index and crit. Once I get 1,000 crit self-buffed from the rest of my gear, whatever, I'll start stacking some more attack power into my source machine instead, but until then, it's all crit all the way. You can tell I have 1 point in cruel efficiency. That is because my hit from my weapon didn't quite make it up to par from my last weapon, so I had to make it up from somewhere. Of course, once I get enough hit, when I get more HK pieces, I will move that point from cruel efficiency down to the strength talent, Titan strength, for 2% more strength. Won't make a big difference, but anything's better than nothing. Enough of this. Let's talk about the actual what you need to be doing during a fight. It's all about timing, using your global cooldowns to their fullest, making sure that the proper abilities go off during every single rotation. All I have shown during raids is just these 4 huge buttons. There's a reason for that I'll go into a little bit later, but everything else I can mouse over it, and it shows me my bars and all that business, my mini-map, because I don't need to see these things while I'm smacking a boss in the face. Or the ass, actually, as it turns out. You want to set your ability queues to full, because this spec is not about mashing buttons. The dual wield spec was about mashing buttons and making sure everything went off. This one is about timing. You press a button, and then during the next ability queue, you press the other button and it waits until the global cooldown hits to pop off that ability. You can tell Frenzied Strike is on its own button, as are Rising Waterfall and Power Strike, Blade Fury, all that stuff, Mighty Blow. The only thing I have macroed at all is my 2 finishers, Rising Waterfall, or Strike Like Iron and Fiery Burst. A lot of people macro their Frenzied Strike with either their finisher or with Power Strike. It didn't really help me. It made it to where I had to mash a button a bunch of times to make sure that the Frenzied Strike went off, and that usually ended up in delaying the next Power Strike, which ended up in not getting one of the Rising Waterfalls off. Here you can tell when I press a button that the next ability queues and waits for the thing to go off. I can press a button anytime during the global cooldown, and it'll use that ability when the global cooldown resets next. This is great because it makes it to where I can change my mind anytime during that 1.5 seconds, and I'll be fine. So let's move on to the actual rotation. Here it is, the rotation. Bum, bum, bum. Anyway, as you can tell, you want to first build up 3 attack points. This isn't so needed later on. My first SLI, I like to make sure it's 3 attack points just for funsies. Anyway, 3 attack point SLI. Then you Power Strike, Rising Waterfall, Fiery Burst, Power Strike, Rising Waterfall, Power Strike, Rising Waterfall, Fiery Burst, Power Strike, Rising Waterfall, SLI. Repeat. Super simple. Everywhere I've put an asterisk on there is everywhere you want to use Frenzied Strike if it's off cooldown. Just pop it right before every Power Strike. In fact, the fact that I have it on its own button, I actually press Frenzied Strike, Power Strike within, I don't know, a couple milliseconds of each other, like just badoop right in a row every time. Even if Frenzied's not available, I just use it, because the fact that I don't have a macroed means I can do that and I don't get lag from it. It always puts my Power Strike right into the queue after I press the Frenzied Strike if there's no Frenzied available. If it is available, it uses it. Great. I just don't want to have to pay attention to it during the fight. It's another thing that I don't need to be looking at. The one thing to note is that if you'll notice, Fiery Burst is not used between one of the Power Strikes and Rising Waterfalls. If you have a lot of energy, like if you have a Chloro, Bard, whatever, and you're getting a lot of crits and you notice that your energy's not dropping all that much, go ahead and slap another Fiery Burst in the middle of there. You'll cut off 1 tick of the old Fiery Burst, but you'll add 2 ticks of a new Fiery Burst, so it's a DPS gain, unless, of course, using that third Fiery Burst in your rotation is going to starve you of energy. Like if you're having to interrupt on some fights, then obviously you do not want to do this, because you'll starve yourself of energy and it'll be a loss. But if you are flying high in the sky with cherry pie and lots of energy or whatever, go ahead and slap another Fiery Burst in there. If you should have as many Power Strikes as you have Rising Waterfalls. This is why you don't want to macro all your stuff together, because you'll end up overriding Rising Waterfalls every time and screwing yourself on DPS big time. If another thing is, use your SLI right before Power Strike every time. Don't use it like, oh, SLI is available, slap it, and now, you know, a second and a half later, after a full global cooldown's done, now I'll hit my Power Strike, because that's robbing yourself of a second and a half worth of time in the rotation before your next SLI comes up. So let's check it in action. And here we go. Running up, no attack points, whatever. Fire Burst, Rising Waterfall, get a proc, that's nice. If you can tell right there, I used my SLI, Frenzied Strike, and Power Strike within milliseconds of each other, and they all went off because nothing's macroed. See there? Boom, it's all done. As if you can tell, anytime Rising Waterfall is pressed, just watch it. You can see the fact that it remains queued during the whole time, so I don't have to sit there and mash it and hope it goes off or whatever. It just does. I wait till almost the end of the global cooldown to use my finishers most of the time, just to where I can actually use my Frenzied Strike, but that's about it. And thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps your DPS. Hopefully people can help me help my DPS, because there's still people out there that do way godly amounts more than me. So, yep, that's it. Goodbye. Turn the thing off now.